I don't want to get into it.
And ain't nobody gonna stop me.
Front yard both times.
Fucking bath towel boy over here.
All right, welcome to Untamed Entertainment. I am Pistol P. Over here is Timbo.
What up?
We got bNasty over there.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's him. And then we got Bug with the
Energy
beautiful radio
up.
voice.
Let's go.
We're going to be talking about success tonight, how you define success, how you achieve success, and do you feel like you have succeeded? We're going to kick it off with Bug, who is the most successful of the group, self-proclaimed. So, Bug, how did you become so successful, and how can you teach us a lesson?
I like what you did there, you motherfucker.
That was a good
To
one.
be fair, success in my eyes is very vague, and it's very defined by who you are. So I never self-proclaim I'm the most successful. I think that I've done well with my family and my future, but I kind of want to dive into defining success. And here's the weird thing is this topic is very interesting to me because we could probably talk about this 10 times over the course of the next 10 years or less, 5 years even, and it's going to change because we're still young. And I know we had a fucking TikTok where we laughed at how old I am, right? Okay, I'm 34. You're all like, we're all about the same age for all of you out there listening, but we're still pretty young, right? Okay, easy, Tiger. But Brad's over here, thinking that he we'll get into that later. But
I think the maybe out there.
yeah. But I think that we all have different careers, although P and B work together, and I'm in a completely different field than them too, and very different than Timbo. But I honestly think in our 40s and our 50s, we're going to have different definitions of success. But B, I want to hit you with, how do you define success at your age? In your early 30s, you got a kid along the way. You are successful in your job, from what I understand. But like, how do you define success? Like, what does that mean to you?
I mean, it's a tricky one. Like you're saying, like it's something that I think is always changing or going to change with your mindset, your point of views on life. But at my current state right now, I think success is more of like where you came from to where you are now. Because I think it's really unfair to compare yourself. Like if we all compared each other even, or you compare yourself to like a person, who makes way more money than you or whatever, if that's how you want to define it. But I think it's just where you were and how far you've grown, right? So if you were, say you're beating addiction and, you beat depression or whatever, right? Then I guess I'm missing this, but
me and Pete, man. I looked at
if you're successful at beating addiction.
Beating.
Anyway, sorry.
I was in the zone. That's my bad. I was in the zone. I missed the joke.
You were doing so well that I looked at Pete and he goes,
"No."
How successful are you at beating a dick?
How many dicks are you
A different way there.
All right, tune in next time for it. All right, so continue. You were where you started from, where you're at, how many dicks you've beaten.
Yeah, a lot. I mean, you start off when you're about 12 to 14, depending on, and then start cranking it out, depending on your hormones.
Hopefully, at that point, it's just your own dick.
But. Well, yeah, definitely your own dick.
Speaking of success, Brad, keep going.
But
you're on a roll.
But no, I think it's where you came from. Not beating. Say you. I said beat addiction, not a dick, buddy.
All right, hey,
okay,
let me
addiction.
Let me chime in real quick because you made a point. You made a good point. I think we're getting derailed
All
really
right,
quickly.
we fucking getting way derailed right now. Okay,
No. Hold on. We're gonna back this up, and we're gonna take our 12-year-old selves out of this and kind of dive back into what we should be talking about. And I think you made a good point. And
I don't know if I did now, dude.
I think you
Well,
did.
you
'cause
conquered a dick.
Well,
You did. You
Good for
did.
you, man. By 12 or 14, holy cow!
Yeah, you were dominating yourself for some
Puberty.
time now.
All right,
But,
you immature fellas. Let's start over.
All right, you fuckers, here we go. No, but the real thing is something you said there is so many times you compare yourself to other people, right? It's a natural habitat or habit, not habitat, but natural habit to like, oh man, like I went to the same grade. Like I have friends that I've known since first grade and they went to the same grade school, high school, maybe different colleges, but we circled back and we're still friends, right? I'm like, man, they have this, and this, or maybe they're saying I have this, and this, and they're comparing themselves to me, or I'm comparing myself to them. And at the end of the day, that's not what matters. It's not matters what like other people have, and but I think a good point that you said is where you came from, because I know this sucks to say, but some people really did start off with less of a chance than others, and you think of it as a race, and maybe Brad will define, say you're more successful to me, right? Maybe you had more training, maybe you had more help, maybe you had more guidance, or more people like looking over you over your course of your life to help you get to where you're at today. And I had to do it all myself. And I'm not saying I did by any means, podcast. I'm not saying that. But the person that had to literally start from the bottom and now they're here is the fucking song, but the joke. Like if you literally came from nothing and made yourself into something, that's crazy. So like to your point, that makes a lot of sense. Like it's like a race. It's like you start with different like starting points and you got to your point and you should be happy where you're at based on that, right?
Right. It'll. I mean, that's the only fair way to judge it. I feel like. I mean, there's always gonna be the natural like, hey, he's doing better or whatever, and that might give you motivation to do better. Might push yourself a little more, but like, if you just judge yourself like you're saying, okay, he's had more. You have different life experiences, right? So say I played football and I learned how to, play as a team. I learned, hard work, whatever. If somebody didn't do that and didn't learn any of those things, they'd probably have a harder time and they would probably go through more struggles in the beginning, than say I would or whoever would that learn that stuff. But not saying that you can't pass them in the long run. I mean, I feel like that comes down to effort and hard work and drive. But yeah, it's like to compare yourself to where you are compared to where they are, same age or whatever. It's just unfair because you don't know what they've been through, how many advantages they have over you. You still got to just bust ass and make it happen no matter what.
I feel like the term success is very loose compared to who is saying it. Someone can view success very differently than the next person that says success.
Yes.
For instance, you say success. A success for you in that day could be you made your bed in the morning and you accomplished everything that you had set for the day, and that made you feel successful. There's a difference between long term and short term, but what beats us down is when we only set long term goals and you don't accomplish those right away, or you're not leading towards those goals, and then it could get you down. But if you set just a small little task and you accomplish that, and the next one, the next one, the next one, in your own mind, you view yourself as successful. I accomplished what I had set out to do that day. Yeah, I'm nowhere near accomplishing my long-term goal that I set, even if it's only a few months away. But if you only have that long-term goal and you look at your single day, you didn't do anything to get towards that long-term goal. So you beat yourself up over it. And
yeah,
I mean, it's day by day, but
well,
in your mind, you're
well,
successful there.
yeah, I think that has to do with where you're at in life or where your current situation is, right? So if say you're, down on yourself, you've been having a shit time, life's throwing a bunch of shit at you, a bunch of obstacles, you're going to be more down in life than when you're succeeding and being up and, accomplishing a lot of goals. You might be happier and you might be like, okay, well, I want to accomplish these big goals. To your point, P, where if you're down on life for a while, yeah, you better fucking damn right. You better
Smaller
take
goals.
making your bed is making a goal, and hey, I accomplished that. You know what I mean? Because I think it just depends on where your headspace is at the time. Because if you're low, you don't really care as much about the longer term goals as you would as when you're up high and you're like, oh, I'm kicking ass in life, And life's a roller coaster. You're going to be up and down forever. So I just feel like it's a mindset at the time where success is.
So with that, like when it comes to defining success, knowing that from what I'm hearing, right? So people come from different backgrounds. They've had different advantages or lack of advantages or
Addiction.
social yeah, yeah, there you go. They had different social status, like because that's still a thing. Like if you're from this area and you have this social status, like it affects you and stuff like that. But I think what I'm hearing is success is defined very independently of all the other people around you. So Brad, I'm going to give this example. Say since you and P live in the same town,
Mm-hmm.
you grew up, went to the same high school, right? Like didn't quite become best friends until, was it in college or after college? Doesn't matter. But you grew up in the same area, went to same high school, similar colleges, we're going to say that, and like overall, and now you're at the same job, but you may both still define your individual success either met or still not met. So to me, defining success is very independent of anyone around you. Comparing yourself to someone else is like, if I say like, man, Bill Gates and Elon Musk and these guys, they have billions of dollars. Like I'm a fucking failure. I wouldn't say I'm a failure. I'm taking care of my family. I have healthy kids. I have a good job. I'm paying my bills. I'm putting food on the table. Like,
Yep.
and I have a little extra income to like travel and do some stuff like that. Like, it's kind of the family I came from.
Yeah.
But like, does that mean I'm successful, or does that mean I'm just like complacent with where I came from and where I'm going? So,
I mean, that depends on you. If you're okay with where you're at, or, I mean, some people love simple lives. Some people love just to mow the lawn every day when they're, retired if they retired early, maybe at like 55. I've seen plenty of motherfuckers out there just mowing their lawn, and you could tell they're just content. They're okay with playing fucking pinochle or whatever, bridge on Saturday, backgammon
chess
on
in the
Saturday
park
with the boys, like super content. Other people, I feel like, aren't content with that. Like, I don't feel like I'm super content all the time. Like, I want to drive and push and make something great and help people, but some people aren't. Not everyone's like me, and some people like to just chill. And there's nothing against that. I mean, it's just whatever makes you happy, because at the end of the day, guys, I feel like the only way to compare is you versus you. And I feel like you can use people if you want to make something great. I feel like you can use people's motivation that are higher, but you can't compare. Like, I can't be like, hey, Joe Rogan has the most successful podcast in the world. And, I can't compare, hey, well, our podcast isn't as good as Joe Rogan. I can't get upset about that. But I can use that as motivation to strive towards that goal. But to compare it and be like, ah, fuck, well, we're not Joe Rogan experience. Jesus Christ, guys. Like,
I mean,
that's just unfair.
even less drastic. Like, you don't have to go to the top of the food chain, people that are famous and everything. Like, you can do that every single day. Your coworker next to you, someone that you're shopping next to at the grocery store that is able to buy a ton of groceries, and you're sitting here salvaging $50. Like, success is just a word, and you can let that simple term like beat you up and make you feel unsuccessful, or hey, you've went to the grocery store and you went and bought that $50 worth of stuff because you could have went and spent on something stupid, but you went and spent it on something that you needed. Just because you had that money to spend doesn't mean the person next to you is more successful, because you're going through your own damn journey and you accomplished a task. You set that task. I got to go to the grocery store and get this. And that's all you could afford at the time.
Yeah.
Just because
So-
the person next to you are buying ribeyes doesn't mean that your little, ground beef is any less than what
Yeah.
they're doing.
They could have spent their last dollar while you're saving some
Yeah.
money. You never know,
But-
but go ahead.
Never
But the thing is, that could have been $1 that they worked their ass off for. So it goes back to my point is,
Small victories.
I don't think you define success based on other people. You define it based on you and what makes you feel successful, which goes to my next question. Because I go to this. Okay. So I'm going to give you a scenario, Brad. I'm going to tell you this. And it leads into my next question. So this isn't my
Okay.
next question, but I want this to lead into it. So
I think I know where you're going because I was about to say it, but we'll see. Keep it tuned.
yeah, it's a process. We want this to come full circle. All right, full circle here, kids. All right. I gotta squeeze that in everywhere I can. Anyway,
Kinda.
so let's think of our high school experiences. All four of us. Brad, you played football, right?
Correct.
P,
Basketball.
basketball.
Yeah, I
Timbo.
wish you would have played football. Sorry, Timbo.
I didn't play any sports in high school, but I was soccer.
You were
Small.
soccer and baseball, right? You played a little bit of
Yeah.
baseball too, but you played soccer. Okay, so
Yeah.
we all played sports at some point of our career.
Bugs is
So
a baseball star.
baseball, basketball, soccer, no big deal. But anyway, so
Successful to me.
tell me about it. But so that's a great point. I could tell my journey. It's not about me tonight, but I could tell you that this is exactly where I want this to go. So real quick, I came into high school fucking afraid as shit. I was tiny as fuck. Didn't think I'd make a singles team in my entire 4 years. I came out of high school like maybe 5'8". Like I think I grew a little bit in college, and I was a tiny motherfucker. But I felt very successful with what I did in high school.
You grew 2
Felt I
inches in
could've-
college?
I was probably like 5'8", 5'9" when I graduated, but I probably like crossed over to the 5'10" mark in college. But the point is like I felt super successful. I thought I did incredible things with what I expected.
I mean,
Going
that's just
into
your
high
body
school.
growing.
Yeah, and I thought I was not even going to make a team in high school, and I came out playing 3 sports, getting second place in state in one, state in the other. Like I felt like, dude, I'm fucking living large, right? But I came into that not expecting to make a single team. And I made every team I tried out for, and we were as a team successful in all the sports I played. So for you, Brad, or P, or Timbo, but I'm going to start with Brad. You came in expecting or not expecting to play football. Just answer that real quick.
From what age? Sorry.
8th grade into high school. Did you expect to play football 4 years in high school?
Yes.
Okay. So if you didn't, you would not be successful, right? In your mind.
Yeah, I would have probably been disappointed in myself.
So for me, I didn't think because of my size, I doubted my skill. Okay. I doubted my skill level. And I thought too much about my size and my strength and whatever. And that despite that, I knew I could drive one into the gap and like my speed was good enough, right? But I didn't think I was good enough. And that sucked. But then I proved to myself I was. You thought you could be good enough to play football for 4 years.
Yes.
What when it comes to that, like, so you knowing you should be playing 4 years of football, what makes you successful at that point? Like to me, just fucking making the team my freshman year was a fucking success. And then my sophomore year, and then my junior year, and then my senior year. But for you, not to say you were arrogant about it, but you just like, hey, I have the skill set, I have the size, I have whatever. I should be on the team. What makes you successful at that point? Games won, passes completed, yards thrown, whatever. Like, what makes you successful at that point?
Simple answer is winning. I mean, that's, I love to win. I'm very competitive. I mean, if I threw touchdowns, I mean, see that it gets a little sticky because I mean, you know what you have to do, right? I play quarterback, so if I knew I had to throw touchdowns for us to win, and my end goal was winning as a team every time. So, I mean, getting up to that point, I mean, my dad worked with me a lot. I was a talented young kid. I could sling the pill around as a kid pretty well. So I don't know. It was different. Like I had a different goal. Like when I got into high school, like I knew I played freshman ball, but when I was a sophomore, like I wanted to play varsity. So I was striving to play varsity, and I made the team, but also fucked up my shoulder, tore my AC joint in my shoulder, fucked it up. So I had to sit out like half the year. Then it got pushed back down on JV because, halfway through the season, you already have, whoever else going in, right? But so I don't know. Success for me, like in sports wise, it's just winning as a team. It was never really like personal goals or personal success. I never really focused on like throwing touchdowns or whatever. Like it wasn't until my receiver in high school pointed out in the paper that I broke one of we have a civil war. We have our rival high school, right?
Sure.
It wasn't until he pointed that out that I knew I broke the record, or whatever, of most touchdown passes in the game and most yards. I had no idea, like, because to me, that's not my focus at all. I'm not like, I fucking threw for 300 yards and 4 touchdowns. I'm just like, no, we won 48-14 or something, Like, that is, I guess, my success in there. I don't know if that's answering your question or not, but that's...
Yeah, it's kind of funny. You kind of got me where do I wanted to go without you, I think, meaning to it. But, like, when it comes to, in my mind, what makes you successful, you brought 2 points up. The one point I wanted to make, and then one I wanted to get to really quick after. And the one was, what makes you successful is what you define for yourself, right?
Yeah.
But you knew you'd make the team, or you felt confident you'd make the team.
Yeah.
But your goal was, as a sophomore, maybe not many sophomores make varsity, right? But that was a goal of yours, and you did it. But you had a setback.
Yeah.
But I'm gonna really quickly skip over that, but I'm gonna come to it. But overall, your goal to be successful was to win games, and it was tied to a team. So I think the important thing is, prior to what we said in the beginning, and it's like, it's beautiful when this all fucking comes together. I love this.
I know.
I
see you.
I let in with this being success is very independent, right? It's what you can't compare yourself to other people, but then again, it's the other people that make you successful. Because you're the quarterback. You're the go-to fucking guy.
Yeah.
You call the plays. You're the first one to touch the ball. Like, it's dependent upon you. There's a lot of pressure there, but what lightens that pressure is reliance upon your wide receivers and your O-line and your running back, or someone to make a block for you, or whatever. Like,
you have to. You have to lay the trust down, otherwise it don't work.
And that's like what is beautiful. I'm literally got goosebumps, guys. I swear to God, I have goosebumps right now. This is beautiful. Nice. You're not gonna be. I don't think I'll be able to see it, but this is what's beautiful. Is like, you lead into it, and the fact that, like, up front, you think you're only going to be successful defined by what you do as an individual. But take it sports, take it family life, take it in your professional environment or whatever. You can't be the best person you are without those around you pushing you along the way. They're your wide receivers. They're your running backs. They're your own line, blocking out the shit that you can't deal with at that time because life's too hard, right? Yeah. Life's too hard. So I need an O-line. I need whoever in my life to kind of block and tackle for me so I can kind of get through this phase and move along, right? Yeah. And it kind of goes back to one of your struggles that you had, which was tearing your AC joint, right?
Yeah, on my
So
throwing shoulder.
that's
was a
beautiful.
bitch. That was a fucking pain. That was some of the worst pain. Coming back from that to work out, like sitting in a sling for weeks, fighting through that. That sucked. By the way, I just want to point that out. That was terrible pain.
So great that you pointed it out, because my next question was, when it comes to those times where you are faced with a challenge or a downfall, and I say downfall is I wanted to be here and I got like here.
Yeah.
I didn't quite get where I wanted to. So how do I get to that point, right? Like you as a sophomore made varsity. Maybe your goal was to beat out senior,
Yeah, he was a senior.
whatever, to challenge the coach, be like, hey man, I'm probably better than a senior, even though I'm a sophomore. Like maybe that was your goal. I don't know. But like you got to here, but you wanted to be here.
Yep.
So when you're faced with a challenge or a downfall, when you have this path paid out in your life, what do you do? Like, what do you do? And it can, and you can take this outside of sports. You could take this professionally with your family, with like personal life, whatever. Like, what do you do? Like, how do you overcome that? Like when you think you have it all figured out and you get fucking slapped in the face, what do you do?
Well, I'll just start it out by saying what I did, really. And I got hurt. I came back, got shoved on JV, which, was fine because that's where most of the people were that I knew, most of my teammates and stuff. But I knew I had to come out and just dominate if I wanted any shot at getting back on varsity or whatever. Right. And I came out and I worked through all the pain, and I probably came back a little early because I was eager and it hurt like hell to throw, but you just fight through the pain. Because to be honest, like, it's not as painful when you're playing for something bigger than yourself. Like if you're playing for your teammates, it doesn't hurt as bad because you know that in order to win, you got to be in, right? If one of my star receivers out, yeah, we'd be hurting, or running back, whatever. But like, I was out and we had the backup Q in or whatever, and even on JV, right? And so when I came back, I was like, we got to win, and fighting through the pain, and you just got to bust ass. And like, I was trying to work through it, and I did drills every day to get back in shape to prove that I could. And I was, hurting and whatnot, but came back. We won every game on JV, but it wasn't quite enough, I guess, or they were already set, or they were worried I'd get hurt again to go back on varsity, which is unfortunate. But I knew that was my only shot, so I gave it whatever I had, and went back and tore up JV. It's all I could do. So that was, I don't know, kind of my thing. I guess what I got out of that was you just, I don't know, you have to just like, I don't know,
Adapt.
Just like adapt and know that like people around you need you. And
Mm-hmm.
so are you going to fight through that pain and fight through the struggle for them? Or are you just going to be like, I'm just going to sit back. My shoulder still hurts, guys. Sorry if you got to take another couple losses. Like to me, I'm like, nah, that's not me. I'm going to bust ass. I don't care if it hurts. I don't care if I have to fight through some adversity and whatever. I'm going to do it. So we can win.
So let me ask you this, and I'm going to make it a little tough, right? A little awkward here for a second. Because we've all four here played sports, right? And we've all talked about that, but there's a very, very fine line between fighting through the pain and being there for your team, but then also realizing where you fighting through that pain to get yourself on that field is more of a detriment than a positive. And I'm not saying you did that. I'm not saying that by any means, but we've all seen it in movies. And I know that's not real, but like in college sports, pro sports, where people fight through and you're like, man, they're just not the same. Therefore, they're not as effective. And there are instances where they're not the same, but they're still so threatening that, like, so say you're Steph Curry, you're injured, or Klay Thompson, like when he was injured, but say Steph Curry's injured, you're still a threat at the 3-point line. So you still have to guard him. You can't disregard him in the playoffs. But like, what happens when you're at that point that you are fighting so hard because you care about your teammates so much that you're fighting through this pain, but you're actually more of a detriment than a positive to your team? How do you take that? Like, it's and that's open to all three of you. Like, that's a tough question to ask and answer, because none of us want to say, well, that wouldn't be me. I would be fighting hard enough to still be a net positive. And
yeah, that is a tough
it's
one.
It's tough.
I don't know. For me, like, I guess what pushed me is like seeing the team lose when I was out, and knowing like if I was in, we probably would have won. So, and that gave me the drive to push more. And it wasn't like, I broke my hand and I just played through it. Like, I sat out for like, 3 weeks. I think they said I had to sit out 5. So I came back early, but I still sat out to let it heal a little bit. It wasn't like full, and it hurt, but I still knew, like, see, that's a tough one, bud.
It's tough. It's very,
it's a tough one.
To be fair, and Timbo and Chief, PL, I'll open up to you guys, but like, to be fair, it's very situational, and I understand that. Like,
yeah, like sports,
you're talking about
different, right? Because I took into the fact of like my leadership skills on the field, and they know me. They know when I'm here, we're going to win. When you got somebody else in there substituting on you, I don't know where their heads are at, and so I took in the fact of like that as a factor, and the fact that I could still throw and I couldn't put heat on the ball, so I knew I'd have to throw it a little early or something, and but just
so you were able to take what you were and what you are now and adjust. So adjusting to me is very different than being a detriment, and it sounds like you were taking into account your previous performance level and your current performance level. Well, I say current, meaning at that time, and you were able to adjust to still be effective. At what point, like, so when it comes down to this is like, what makes success real to me is acknowledging when you're a benefit to the team, and when I say team, I know we're talking sports here, but I say team, like my family is my team, right? My coworkers are my team. My extended family is a team. Like, you have all these teams in your life, and I'm just going to make that a general statement, is like, you have all these teams in your life and all these walks of your life. What makes success real is, to me, when you understand when you're a positive or a benefit to that team and not dragging them down, right?
yeah.
So if I'm, so I'll take my family life. I have a wife and 2 kids. If I am, let's just say for simplicity, I have COVID, right? Because I did earlier this year. And for me to go around like carting the kids off to, well, granted, terrible example because we're all quarantined, but hypothetically, let's say that I was quarantined. Yeah. Okay. Well, not contagious in the way that you think. I can't breathe on you and give you AIDS.
All right,
but,
you had the flu, buddy.
all right. So the flu, and I was just quarantined in my office right here, which is where we do our podcast. And if I said, you know what, I'm going to leave my office, I'm going to take my kids to soccer practice, I'm then more of a detriment to my family because I could be getting my kids sick, their teammates sick, their parents sick, and all that. Like, there comes a point where you got to be real with yourself to know when you need to take a step back. And I think that's also a part of success. I know it sounds very weird to connect that, but like, successful is like also being aware of what you're capable of doing and not overshooting your shot. And if you think that you could do XYZ, you throw yourself into it and you can't, you're now a detriment to the team and not progressing things going forward.
Yes.
So it's very interesting, and I want to pivot here a little bit. Because I got like
actually,
10
can I steals real good? I want to throw something at Pete real quick, right? So
yeah,
I just want to tell something earlier you were kind of saying, right? So you were saying like a win is, okay, you got out of bed and you took out the trash, right? Small victories and stuff. So, I know like I was saying, when you're down in the dumps, right? And you're like, fuck, I need it's good to take those small victories and like, okay, I got out of bed. It's awesome. I just I guess my question is like, so do you go up with your I guess state of mind, let's say that, right? So say you're in the down in the dumps, you're like, oh, I made the bed, cool. When you're like your state of mind's going up, do you make your goals go higher or do you just kind of stay the same on like, oh, I got out of bed, small victory? Do you change those by any level?
I see what you're saying, and I think setting the bar, like, let's say if we are going from, you're down in the dumps scenario that you're talking about, setting those small little goals, achieve those, achieve those, achieve those. But it's almost like a building block. Those goals become just part of the next goal. So don't lose sight of your first goal. So as you are improving, let that first goal be a routine. And that becomes your routine. And then you accomplish the next goal. And then, so next thing you know, you're on tier 1, making the bed. Tier 2, making, sandwiches for lunch. Tier 3, do this, this, and this. And then all of a sudden, you've developed a routine that you've set for yourself. And you've incorporated that into your own success and let it drive you every single day. So you start the day off with boom, 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 boom. And what used to be a previous success for you is now a better version of you just going forward. And then you can add on that and add on that. And just realize that where you are now compared to where your foundation was of, hey, I used to have to push myself and make it a huge point just to wake up and do this or do this. And now I do it naturally. I could be back there and now I'm doing this stuff naturally. So look in the mirror and be like, I mean, I'm growing. I have become a better version of where I began. So I'm not a
Yes.
failure. I'm better than when I started this because I had the conversation to tell myself to be better than you don't want to be back at that first spot.
No, because if you stay there, then yeah, you're never growing. And like, as a human, like I don't know, part of our species, I really truly believe that like if you're not growing, then you're really, I don't know, you get depressed almost. If you're
Oh,
not,
you do.
you're not like
Absolutely.
moving forward.
And that's why I feel like there's a difference between small goals and long-term goals. Long-term goals are long-term goals by term because they are long-term. So if you set individual tasks, you're constantly feeling victorious.
Yeah. Well,
And
that's
if
what I
you
call them small victories. I don't
yeah,
call them small goals because I feel like if I set a small goal like that and I call it a goal, I'm aiming low and I'm shooting low and it fucks with my head. It's just me personally, but that's what comes small victories, right? But
yeah.
big goals, I hit
And
a goal. But sorry, go.
I mean, and those can be on a very small scale. Like even in the moment, like should I not extra large my meal? Should I just go medium on this meal? It'll be a small victory. You'd be like, yeah, well, you know what? I didn't eat as much as I wanted to, but I controlled myself.
Yeah, I
That's a
love
small
4
victory.
fries in the bag, buddy.
Yeah.
Small
Uh,
victories.
The
I
overflow.
know, buddy.
Yeah.
Even something
What?
small is like you're on your way out to work and then be like, man, I need to take the trash out. Just roll the trash out to the street or take the trash out and then boom, right there. You started your day off great.
Yep.
That task is over with.
Even if you're going to be
And
late for work, even if you think, hey, if I roll this trash out, I'm going to be late. No, you're not.
nah, shut up. It's like
Just do
it's
it.
like
Just roll the
you're gonna
fucker
be
out.
You're
Can I
gonna be
ask you
1 minute
three?
late or 1 minute 30 seconds late. Like, come on. You're just making excuses at that point. But when you
Oh.
do it, boom, you
Can-
feel better.
Can I ask? I want to ask you. I want to ask Timbo and Pia. I got a question for you guys because I think motivation directly relates to success, right? Like how motivated you are can determine how successful you are. But you also have goals at the same time. So you have motivation that fuels success. Success hits your goals, right? I could want to be retired at 50 years old. And if I do that, whatever lifestyle I have makes me successful. Or I could say, I want to be retired at 50, living off $1 million a year income, right? And that makes me successful. Like, so you have different views and different levels. But I have a question I'm going to ask this first. I'm going to give you each a little bit of time to think about it because it's putting you on the spot and then answer it. But the question is, when you wake up in the morning, you get out of bed, you have your routine, you maybe brush your teeth, take a shower. Like for some of us, not me included, you shave your beard, whatever. But you get to a point where you have these things in your mind that like I need to get this done to complete the day to be successful. But what I want to know is what fuels everyone's motivation. What fuels you to get out of bed, to take a shower, to change your clothes, to go to work, to come back home,
Your
and to feel
why.
like your why. And Nike, it's funny you say that. I was working at Rawlings years ago, baseball brand, and we focus very much on the why.
Little name drop.
A little name drop, but
Nice.
Nike came out with it. Like you could focus on the what and the where and the how, but if you don't know the why, you don't know how to get to the end goal. All
Yeah.
that other stuff will fucking figure itself out. But what's your why? What motivates you? And I'm gonna leave it up to Timbo or Chief to start first, and I'm gonna kind of work around. You pointed to my right, so I think that's Timbo. So Timbo,
Yeah, I think that's
Timbo.
me.
Yeah. Hey,
Timbo,
before that, I just want to quote
what-
Eric Thomas real quick before you start, Timbo. I'm sorry, I gotta say it. Timbo or Eric Thomas always says "power of your why," and I love it so much. It's stuck with me ever since I heard it because he says that if your why is money, okay, well you can have less money, more money. That'll fluctuate. It's not a driving factor, right? But if you have your kid behind you, or your wife, or your husband, or your dad, or something like that, if you have that behind you, that's your motivation. Every single day you can look at them to push you. But if it's money or like a PS5, then that ain't it. Sorry, go on.
well, you semi
Thomas
answer
is the
my
best.
answer, but I'm gonna
Eric
go ahead
Thomas is
and
the
let
best.
Timbo take his time.
Eric Thomas is the best.
All right, so my why, my what motivates me is my family, and that's the biggest thing for me that gets me up and gets me out of bed to go to work, or even just on the weekend to be there and be present. So that's the biggest thing for me. That's ever since I got married and had kids. It's just been my biggest motivation to be the best me, and yeah, for me, like success is just being happy and feeling like I'm doing things right for them and for myself too. Because if I'm not doing, if I'm not happy doing things for myself, then I can't be happy motivating them or be there for them like I should. So I mean, that's an easy question for me. It's 100% my family and being there for them.
So before I go to P, your family makes you happy, which 100% my answer as well was I do a lot for my family. I do a lot for my it's family and friends is like key, and I get that. Like I also have personal growth reasons, but like what is it that motivates you? Like do you have a goal or like when it comes to making your family happy, does that mean they have food on the table, they have a roof over their head, like they have a future, you're going to guide them along the way? Like is there any way that that can be dived into deeper with you, like meaning like I think a lot of us, like Brad's got a kid on the way, right? I'm sure he's doing a lot to pave the way for his kid, and
Yeah,
P's
doing all
got
the
kids.
floors are killing my back and my legs.
And you're
But
old too.
yeah, and you're old as shit. Older than me
Not as
apparently.
old as you.
Not
Anyway,
as old as
but,
Bug.
There we go.
Numbers.
Oh, yeah.
Numbers. Hey, stay tuned, podcast. We're gonna have a elite athlete competition where I'm gonna destroy all these fucking fools. But
All right, put your leg
and-
behind your head.
oh, yeah, well, you can do that, but you can't beat me in a race or hit a football further or tackle me harder.
Who
but
hits
anyway,
a football further, by the way?
hit a ball further, throw a football farther, or hit a guy harder.
Ah, but I got smoking
I
all three of
know.
those, buddy.
Well, you got the last
You
one.
got to catch me
that's for
first,
sure, Bug.
motherfucker.
I mean, maybe. We'll see. Keep her tuned.
I don't know. With your health lately, I might want to take it easy.
I
on you.
know, but that's the thing, bro, is I'm going to come back. I'm going to drop down to 230, bro. Swear to God.
I gotta.
Health scares.
I'm
I think I need a
245, bro.
release.
Wait. August.
I gotta
I'm
get a
being
release from your
230 by
doctor
August,
first before I
bro.
can hate you.
By August, I'm be 230. Losing 15 pounds. Swear to
All right,
God.
we're losing track. We
All right, losing
we got
track. Okay, so
testosterone.
Timbo.
We got testosterone going.
All right, so Timbo. Timbo. So you talk to your family, which I think is a valid answer, and I think we would all love that. We all are on board with that. But like, what do you want from your kids, or what do you want to do for your wife? Like, do you want to pay for your kids' college tuition? Like, what is the motivating factor on top of that? Like, what's the second layer? And I know it's like tough to ask, but if you don't want to answer it, don't
Oh, it's a
do
good
that. Like,
question to ask. I like it.
No, yeah.
but like, I want to know that second layer, like, because I think we all want to help our families, right? Like, we all have that level of drive, but like, what's that next layer?
It's
And here,
It's
I'll
a-
frame this up. I'll frame this up one more way, and I'm sorry for interrupting. What happens, and this is what my wife and I talk about all the time. We focus on each other, or we're trying to focus on each other more, because when the kids grow up and they move out, it's just us. So we make sure, and I'm not going to lie, we've struggled with it. We've struggled with it, but when they're gone, meaning like they've grown up and they've moved out, like we
It's
want to
just
make sure
you
we
and
still have a
her.
relationship. Yeah, it's just us. Like, so I'm not saying like that's your answer. Like that's what motivates you, is like to get to that point where like you still have that loving relationship with your wife and your kids and whatever. But like, anyway, didn't mean to interrupt. Trying to pave the way, but it's all you, buddy.
Yeah, I was just gonna say that it's money is definitely a big deal for me, and making sure that I can provide for them. I want to be able to put food on the table, like you were saying, and be able to take them out and do things, go on vacations. But um, it's not always all about money either. It's for me just being there and being present. Like I could sleep all day if I really wanted to, but the motivation to get up and just hang out with my kids on the weekends is huge for me. Like that's what I want to do and where I want to be with them. But I mean, hell yeah, I want to pay for their college tuition, help them buy their first car, but just teaching them life lessons too. I didn't have it the easiest growing up. I had to get my own job, pay for my own shit. I want to teach them those hard lessons too. So it's just
Yeah, I had to hang
it's not
sheetrock.
it's
I-
not all about money.
It's fucking.
I
I
love
was just making pizzas. I wasn't hanging
Okay.
shit.
I love that answer. I love that answer for two reasons. One, it's a great answer. Two, I tried to lead you down the money route. I tried to put little feelers in there about the money and like college tuition and all that. And
You didn't
you
take the bait.
he fucking nailed it. He nailed it, because a lot of people deem success as, okay, I'm not going to say who, what, where, why, but I have somewhat in my life that the moment, wow, that'll give it away. They're very much
You know
about
who you
money.
are.
They're not listening, so it doesn't really matter. But I have people that are listening that know this person. It doesn't matter. But I have people in my life that are like, if I can give you, I don't need to give you the time of day, but if you crash your car, I'll buy you a new one. or you went off on your own, you started a family and you're in debt, I'll bail you out. And like to them, their love language is money.
Mhm.
And to me, which is fine. Like everybody has their own path. But to me, my success is I could have barely enough clothes on my kids' back, barely get enough food on the table. But if I can be there for them and they know who I am, and whenever I die, it could be tomorrow, 20 years, 40 years, whatever it is, I don't know. Like, as long as I knew who I am and what I was about, then that means I was successful. And I think back, like, not to go back here, but like when my dad, like, I know who my dad was. He passed earlier than I ever wanted, but I knew who he was. I knew what he was about, and he worked his ass off for his family. But he was also there, like you said, Timbo. He was always there. He got up at 4 a.m. to drive 4 hours to Kansas City, do all his stops with all his customers there, drive 4 hours back just to make it to my baseball game at like 4 o'clock in the afternoon. Like he fucking grinded.
Yeah.
So he still
bro.
provided financially, but he still also was there in the presence. And like what you said, Timbo, I tried to lead you there. I tried to, but you didn't catch the bait. So I appreciate that. You want to be there for your kids, man. You want to be there for your family. You want them to know who the fuck you are. So
Yeah.
that's a whole nother level of success. Like to me, like what defines it goes back to what we started. How do you define success? It's different in everybody's eyes. But to me, that makes sense to me.
Yeah, just
All
by
right,
everyone's
buckle your
answers.
seatbelt. So I went through 2 levels. So I went from the one you were talking about, being able to provide money. I had a great job. Money wasn't an issue for my family, and that's how I established my early family. My son was young, my daughter was young. That was my role, and that made me feel proud because money wasn't a thing. And we could do all sorts of stuff because money was flowing. And then when I changed jobs, money wasn't flowing. I had to learn to adapt to a different role. And it took me a while to learn to adapt to that because that took away from me what I was providing. That was the thing, that was my role. And that's what made me feel good is that I was able to provide the money and the security and the comfortability of our, day-to-day lives. When that was not taken away because I chose it, but when that wasn't an option anymore, it belittled me. It made me feel like a piece of shit and I wasn't doing my role. Nobody else viewed it that way. I did. My family didn't view it that way. They were on board with it, but I had a tough time adjusting to it. And it took them to bring me around to let me know my worth. And that's one thing that is, that I've found within myself over the past couple of years is that I don't need that to make me feel worth. I've learned a new worth, and that kind of going with what Timbo was saying, it almost opened my eyes in a sense to allow myself to be more available for kid time, just being their time, learning time, and they just want my attention. They don't care about what my paycheck says. They care about what I'm doing with them. And I don't know, and it's weird to look back at my previous self because I know that I was doing it. Like looking back now, I can see now that I was doing it. But I don't know if I would have ever realized that because that was my way of providing. Was like, oh, here's the money. Now, wife, plan this, plan a fun activity. And now that I'm not saying I don't have money, but I just value my time and my kids' time more, that I go do more individual one-on-one things with them. And it's allowed me to be you know, a better parent. Not saying I would have been a terrible parent back then, but it just gives me a different perspective.
Do you think that was based off of age or life experience, like maturity or life experience?
I think it's both. I think they kind of go hand in hand because I had life punch me in the face and I didn't choose to
Life
sit
is
down.
hard, by the way.
Oh yeah, but I
No,
hit harder.
Oh, goddamn right.
Oh yeah, I got a
I like
counter.
that mindset.
I
Love it.
fucking hit harder in life, Will, because I made that choice though. Like if I had the choice now, if I had a ton of money and I could go do random stuff with my kids, I don't know that I would be as present as I am now. Kind of not necessarily struggling, but being able to look at life differently. And it's allowed me to be so much more individualized with my children and my wife and my marriage. Like it's almost appreciation. You kind of appreciate things more.
Yeah,
So that
life's funny, isn't it?
I mean, don't get me wrong, if I had a nice 50G check sitting in my mailbox right now, I
Well,
would do
I mean,
better with
wouldn't
it
we
now
all?
than I
But
would before. But
I mean, wouldn't we all? But to be honest, man, I mean, as corny as it sounds, stupid as it sounds, like
horn it up.
I honestly believe that, like, I don't know, at least for me, like that shit doesn't happen, right? And I think it doesn't happen, and it's for like motivation. Like it's not gonna be in there. So how are you gonna go make 50 G's? You gotta just bust ass, you know? Like it'd be
That's
cool,
not my
but
that's not my priority now though. Like I'm not
Can I ask a
looking
quick
forward.
question to that, P? And I'm sorry for the little interruption. My wife came in like the fucking Kool-Aid man, and
oh,
my
scared me.
dog.
Oh,
Dude, I had to turn my
like a
camera because my
star.
dog was
Yeah.
mauling me. But I
You
was
should knock
listening to
it
you
over.
talk, P, and
Oh yeah.
this is like,
Kool-Aid man.
how much does like, and it's actually in my head sounds like a simple answer, but like, okay, so P, you started off in your head thinking that money, being able to provide for your family, like above and beyond, like whatever, it's never an issue, right? Never an issue. And I'm not saying it is now, but I'm saying like super, super flexible with our spending. And then now you're like, you're still comfortable. You're still happy. You're still like financially stable, but maybe, instead of 3 trips a year, we take 2, or we take one big, one small, whatever, maybe. It's not the point, but like, how much did your early on mindset of success being tied to financially go to your upbringing? Like, you don't have to get into it, but like for me, I had a very modest upbringing, but then I came out to find out my parents were just incredibly good savers and investors. And like, even though my dad passed away, like my mom is like set, like super set. Like she retired a couple of years earlier than she wanted to, just to take care of my dad, but like set, super set. But like, I lived in modest upbringing, but I never was like shy of like clothes or food or whatever, like travel ball, baseball, like all that. For you, did that, and I don't, if this is like not the right question to ask, I apologize. You could just deflect, but like, your upbringing, did it affect your mindset going into your professional world?
No, it's actually a really good question because I had never really thought about it that way. And then as soon as you asked it, I instantly thought back to my upbringing and everything, and it was a very poor upbringing. Like
Okay.
we were from trailer to trailer, multiple kids, so money was never available, and certain slum situations, come to mind. But I also had my dad that I would go to on the weekends, and until I got older and actually thought about it, like my dad wasn't very wealthy by any means at all, but he had a better life than what my mom provided me. And as a kid, I went from my mom's house being, dirt poor to my dad's house, which is probably dirt poor too, but
Felt bigger than life.
yeah, exactly. That was my vacation. It was kind of a getaway. And then so now that you present the question, I didn't realize how much that me being able to provide actually gave me a sense of like this is what I was missing out on as a kid or growing up, and that it was a proud point to being able to do that when I never had that. So it was, I mean, it definitely, I latched onto it because I got into that lifestyle pretty early because straight out of high school I was making decent money, and then once I hit 21, I was making really good money. I didn't have kids by then, so I was able to live a higher lifestyle that I wasn't accustomed to, even though I provided for myself. I was proud of
Right,
that
right.
because no one else did it for me. I did it, and then
And
I
that
was
and
able
that
to do that.
and that makes you feel larger than life, I'm sure. Like,
Mhm.
and the reason I ask that is because how many times do we compare our upbringing to what you feel like you were shorted on or you were graced with, and then you try to either duplicate or improve upon? And whether it's financial, whether it's my dad wasn't present, or I bounced around in the foster system, and so I'm never going to be not present for my kids, or whatever the case may be. Like, it's really crazy how our upbringing can shape ourselves in the positive or the negative. Like, I know people that
Without you knowing too.
without you knowing exactly, because it seems like that question maybe frame some things up for you. And I know some people that had no family presence in their upbringing, but that is what fueled them to be successful in their later life.
Mhm.
Right. And it's just crazy. And it kind of goes to my point that I want to kind of bring, that I think is kind of guys, this is gonna bring this full circle here. All right.
Goosebumps
Here we
again.
go.
So we've gone through the stages, and I love looking at my list of questions and knowing that we've got fucking this lined up perfectly. So I'm gonna pat myself on the back real quick.
Well, go ahead, bud. Well, knock it off. Go ahead.
We've been
Nice.
defining success, right? What makes you successful? How do you define it? How did you get there?
Yep.
What challenges did you overcome, or downfalls? But one thing is we've also talked about mindset in our past, how that frames us to be where we are today. And we're going to go around the horn here, but I want to talk to you first, Brad, because we've kind of been centering this on a lot of your life. But I think it's important to get some full full circle opinions here. Sorry, I'm kind of beating that to death, but I think it's important to understand, how do the people that surround you in your life affect your success? Because if you think about it, not too long ago, we were talking about defining it and how you can't compare yourself to others, right? To define your success, only to migrate to realizing that there are people around you that help motivate and build your success because they foster it, right? But to come all around and kind of bring this to like where we're at right now, and I'm struggling not to say it again.
Try not to say
But-
full
All over
circle
the
so
place,
bad.
buddy. Yeah, don't do it again, man.
Guys,
That was
I
too many.
framed we
Full
framed this up
circle.
so well to
Ah,
get to where it
quit
needs to
patting
be.
your back. Your back's tired.
I'll wipe the burn off your nose, buddy.
But over the course of your life, and I know, once again, I know we joke about how old I am, but like at the same time, we're all still very young. But how over the course of our life, we'll say like young years, high school years, college years, or young adult, to now, the people that you surround yourself with, how has that affected your success? And it could be in any walk of life, family life, personal life, professional, sports, whatever. And you could take any stage of your life, but how is both positive and negative? If you want to share a negative experience where you like, man, I really put myself in a group of people that really fucked me and I was not successful. I actually took 2 steps back. I have examples of that, but Brad, I want to see what you kind of have to say about that. Like, what is it about the people around you that makes you successful or not successful?
Well, I think you got to start by. So, I mean, maybe not everybody, but, yeah, I don't know. I don't know if I want to say majority, but let's just say me. Okay. I had a decent amount of friends, right? Like a bigger group of friends, but the older you get, you realize that they're like not really your friends. They're just there for like the good times or the party or whatever, right? So your friends kind of whittle down the older you go. Whether it starts out big or small, like they get whittled down sooner or later. So then you're at a point where you say, okay, well, what do I want to do? I've been lost for a while. What do I want to do? And you kind of head in whatever directions, kind of mosey your way through life, try to figure things out. And then, I think if you don't come to this point, you're going to stay there forever. But you got to come to a point where you look at your friends or people around you and just say, okay, well, are they going to stay stagnant forever, or are they going to move forward? Do I want to move forward? Do I want to do something with my life? And if the answer is yes, then and your friends want to stay, then you have to let them go. Hard answer. I've had to cut people out of my life plenty of times, or maybe not all the way, but maybe I just hang out with them or talk to them every once in a while, whatever the case is. So, there's going to be that point in your life. And I feel like the people you surround yourself with, like if you want to go up and the people around you don't, it's going to be hard because they're going to pull you back down. And I think that's a huge point in life, and that's something I've realized, and that's one reason I push so hard, and I push people around me, because I want everyone to be their best selves, like all the time, And so, like, if people aren't pushing around you, maybe they don't have the same goal, or maybe, they need to push. So if you can eliminate one of those options, then it's the latter if it's not the one, right?
So, yeah, and I think that's a great point, and it kind of leads me to a question to say, like, if you don't have an example, like, no worries, I can pinball to Timbo or P, but like, can you give an example? And you don't have to name names or even a time of life, but like where you were at a point where you kind of felt like, I've been at points where I felt like, if I don't like kind of change my environment, my scenery, people I'm around, I'm not going to keep going forward. Like, they have a different motive than me. Like, I was trying to get to this next stage of my athletic career, but if I stay with these guys, I'm not going to be able to be focused on my athletic career. Cause like, I had an instance in college where they always want to party, they just want to do this. And like, granted, it was fun as hell, but if I kept doing that, I wasn't going to be as in shape as I needed to be. I couldn't be as punctual in class and like practice and this, that, and the other. Was there a stage in your life or an example where you could say, because I'm thinking about the listeners, right? And there could be people that are at the stage now where they're stuck, right? They're stuck because, and they could be in any age of life. They could be, in high school, college, early professional career, or our age or older, and they're not sure how to get to the next level and they want to get there. Maybe it's the people around them. So can you give an example where you overcame a group of people or a situation where it wasn't beneficial to you and you were not beneficial to them in the right scenario that allows you to move forward?
All right, I got this. I'm cutting in.
All right.
All right. So, prime example, even today, when my wife got home from work, I was busy doing a whole bunch of stuff, and she's been sick the past few days, and I've just kind of taken over every responsibility. And I had a moment where she came and I had everything kind of already done on the to-do list. And she was pretty happy about it. And I said to her, I was like, could you imagine me doing this 5 years ago? And she's like, no, not at all. She's like, to be honest, I couldn't imagine you doing this 1 year ago. And that to me was just like a eye opener of like, yeah, I don't think I could see myself doing this 1 year ago. And when I think about what changed in that time frame, because I was, kind of pointing it back to 5 years ago, because we've been married for 6 going on 7 years now. My first year of marriage, like, it was just great. I was, gung ho, being the best husband I can be. And then afterwards, in that gap, I can now see where priorities were different. And then up until, like she said, a year ago, that's kind of where my priorities shifted. And that was kind of, to your point, kind of cutting people out of my life and seeing who's beneficial, where's my happiness, not who am I making happy, or this image of myself that I have kind of, led my whole life to be the fun guy, the party guy, the let's go do this. That has to go away because at the end of the day, you go home, you're with your wife and your kids. What makes you happy? And then I've finally grabbed onto what that is, and I made that a priority. And that's why my list of friends has dwindled. Not necessarily saying that some of those friends that were on that list are bad people. They just don't impact my life in the way that I need or
Yeah.
care to, to acknowledge.
Yes. Is it safe to say, P, that it's okay to have people in your life that like they are good people. They have good agendas. They care about their family. They care about their livelihood and all that. But like it's okay to say that just because we don't move forward doesn't mean there's any ill will about that relationship. Like I'm going to be full disclosure here. I got married when I was 25. My best man, I barely talk to anymore. Still a great guy, works hard, fights for his family, is super successful, does well for his kids. We just kind of
Grew
paths kind
apart.
of like, yeah, and there was nothing like, and this is probably actually a bad example because it's not like he was dragging me down or like holding me back from being successful. But to your point, like every stage of your life, you realize that there are the really, really integral, important people in your life that matter. Like one of my best friends I've known since first grade, and I just went on a trip with him 2 weeks ago, Memorial Day weekend, and he was an usher in my wedding. But like today, I was like, oh my god, I regret not having him being like my best man. Like he's like fucking awesome. But at that point in our life, we were still super close, but it just wasn't the right time. So I think as you grow and you learn about yourself, about what means the most to you and your family, you realize what fits with that. And I'm still going to see my best man at my wedding, like probably for the next handful of decades. Like
Mm-hmm.
it could be a couple days or a couple times a year. Whereas this other buddy I see every month, every couple weeks. But it shows that in order for you to be successful, it's not always that you're cutting out bad people. It's just cutting out what works for you and what makes you like realize where you find your most successful characteristics and like features and things like that.
It's up to
So
you to define that though, because it's not always easy, and sometimes it just kind of comes organic. Like as you're cutting them off, it's you find that something that you were like, oh, I don't know how I'm gonna live my life without having this person as my friend, hitting them up all the time, and then as you separate, it's just like oh, okay, that wasn't as bad as I thought it was gonna be.
right.
That attention that you're given to that, now you can focus on what you in your gut that you feel like this is where I should be. This is this is the focus that I want to be focusing on, but I have been kind of distracting myself with this other minutia of, oh, I can't go and hang out with you this week, blah blah blah. Like just the little bullshit that becomes outside noise that once it's out, you look back and you're like, I can't believe I let that affect me. I can't
Mm-hmm.
believe that I thought about this. I can't believe that I made this a big deal. When right now this is where I'm happy and this is where I'm, paying all my attention to. Not necessarily all your attention, but this is where you want to pay your attention to.
Yeah.
And you're happy with it. And then if they ever hit you up, it's not weird. It's just like oh, okay. Like maybe if I have time because you've prioritized what actually makes you happy and rather than prioritizing where you thought you needed to pay your attention to.
Yeah, and I guess that kind of goes to I got a question for you, P or Timbo, or B or Timbo. Just curious, like in your guys' experience, because I think like P hit it really well on the head that you kind of focus on what helps fuel your fire, right? You kind of help you realize what's kind of like holding you back, like doesn't have quite the same agenda as you, the same motivation, or like what's going to get them to the finish line. And it's not to say they're bad people, like P said. It's not to say they're bad people. It's just like, hey, I want to get to here, wherever that is. You're going to go like a little left, like 45 degrees to the left. Like, it's not that it's a bad path. We just have different agendas, and that's okay. It's okay to have different agendas, and it's okay to like understand what your relationship is. But B and Timbo, my question for you guys is, with when it comes to trying to surround yourself with the best way to be successful with the people around you, what successes or failures have you had at any point in your life? Like, you know, Brad, you're about to start a family, right? And you're pointing to all these pointings are very cross-eyed, but um you're about to start a family, Timbo has a family, but like we've all been through different stages of life. So I think that's Timbo, and I want to hear from Timbo first, because podcast, if you're not aware, we're live together and we're all thinking we're pointing to the same person on the screen. But goddamn, this is fucking stressful because I don't know who's pointing. Timbo just pointed off my fucking screen. He's pointing to my fucking like my
Just trying to
where
point at
my
you, bud.
bedroom is. Yeah. So
You didn't go to
Um,
bed.
Yeah. And if you think he
So-
sounds like Seth Rogen, put it in the comments.
yeah, if you think his laugh is Seth Rogen slightly tamed because Seth Rogen's pretty aggressive, then yeah,
Slightly
pop that
tamed,
bad
I
boy.
liked it.
Um,
Said.
so Timbo, I'm gonna go with you because I don't know what the
Yeah.
fuck we were pointing at.
Probably good.
I don't even know if you know what I asked because I was so
Yeah,
confused with the
no,
pointing.
I got
But
it. I got
go
it.
ahead, do
Yeah,
your
I
thing.
mean, I can kind of start out with a failure and work my way up to where I became successful or a success. Um, in my early 20s, I surrounded myself. I was with all my friends. We were all young and stupid and doing nothing with our lives, doing drugs, drinking, just I mean, me, I got fired from 2 jobs just because I couldn't shake the party lifestyle and, calling out sick all the time because I'm too hungover or still too drunk to go into work. Yeah, that's right. Partied hard. Um, but I wasn't the
Bingo.
first one to get out of that to get out of my friend group and kind of get on to having a normal adult life. And once I started seeing those guys do that, and I realized I'm fucked up, man. I can't keep living this lifestyle. I can't keep bouncing from job to job, trying to find rentals and sleeping on people's couches. I gotta do something. I just started to look at the people that I deemed successful or motivated me to live a better lifestyle, and started surrounding myself with them and kind of cutting out that old crew that wasn't quite ready to, or unfortunately some of them still live that lifestyle and they
Hmm.
aren't doing shit with their lives. So I'm glad I cut them out. I miss them. They were good people, but I definitely, if I was around them and surrounded myself with them, then they'd still be trying to drag me down. And fuck, I mean, I might even fall back into that same shit. But the yeah, the biggest part was definitely surrounding myself with those more successful people in my mind, or people who seem to have their shit together and kind of mimic what they were doing, or just find motivation from how they're living their life and change my lifestyle.
It's funny you say that, Timo, because some of my biggest motivation is just some random peeps. Like, P can attest to this. So we'll go to like, I don't know, it's like a town like a couple hours away. We'll go for some work. And there's this old dude who is always sweeping the floors. And, some people might look like, look at this fucking dweeb, look at this, whatever. I look at him and I'm like, that's my motivation. That I will not be sweeping floors when I'm fucking 60 and hating my life because he's always comes around like he's mad that he's at work. And then he's like, I wish it was Friday. And I'm like, wow, fuck, man, you had fucking so many years to to change that, man.
Monday.
Like, and I'm like, for me, that is motivation for me. That's what I look at it as. I'm not like, hey, look at this fucking clown, blah, 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 or, oh, I feel sorry for this dude. I'm like, no, that's my motivation that I won't be that guy. And not everyone thinks that way, but I love thinking that way because I love looking at things for motivation.
Yeah, that's good motivation, honestly. I mean, not everyone may look at it the same way and think that's a great way to think of somebody, another human being, but I do the same thing.
Yeah, man.
There's a pretty bad homeless community in where I live, and
And
there's one
yeah,
area that
Yeah.
they kind of
Bad.
centralize to, and I drive by them every single day and just think, man,
under the bridge.
don't ever get there, man.
But
Don't
but
ever get
Exactly,
there.
though. That's motivation, though. I don't think there's any shame in that. At least I don't take any shame in
But-
that because, you got to look at him for what it is, like whatever it means to you. Like some people will be like, oh, I feel sorry. Or some people will be like, ah, you fucking clown. Which, yeah, whatever. But that's a positive and negative or whatever. I don't know. Or a sad negative and a negative. Might as well look at him as like, hey, it's motivation. To me, that's positive. So,
I look at it as like what I was talking about with the homeless people in my area. I look at it as they gave up. Don't give up, man. Just
That's
don't
what I'm
ever give
saying.
up, because that's where you're gonna end up.
That's what I'm saying when I look at the guy and I'm like, man, you gave up on your life. That's why you're still sweeping floors when you're fucking 60, man. You gave up. I will not give up. I will never be there because I won't let myself be there. And that's motivation. I love it.
So here's one thing I'll say to that. And we can go down a spiral for 7 more hours. But
Wow.
Oh, no, I'll counter it.
if that person, it goes back, guys. I'm not going to say it, but you know what I want to say. But here's the
Full
thing.
circle.
Full circle.
Here's the
bud.
thing, guys.
Uh,
That guy might have came from the inability to get even the slightest job. And he got that job. And it sounds like he's cranky and he's whatever. So maybe it's a fucking mute point. But that person might be proud as fuck that they are sweeping floors. And they're making whatever they're making
Couldn't
to
be
pay
proud.
whatever they're
Yeah.
paying to whatever. And I'm going to give you an example. So I'm in my house. I've lived in my house for 7 years now. And I lived not too far away for 3 years prior. So pretty much the same area for, 10-ish years. And there's right across the street from my house, my subdivision is a ballpark, like a bunch of softball fields, baseball fields, whatever, like college or a minor league stadium, whatever. And this is the field I play every Tuesday night on. And there's this guy who you don't throw your beer cans in the trash cans. You literally, you empty them, you break, like you stomp them, and you put them in a pile. Because what he does is he goes through every single field every single night. He collects cans, and I've seen him at McDonald's near me. He rides a bicycle and he collects cans. I'm sure he's got to be doing something else, but that's what he does. I don't know his backstory. I've never talked to him. I've tried to talk to him. Doesn't want to talk to me. Probably rightfully so. Nobody wants to talk to me like at that state, but whatever. But that guy is doing what he needs to do to get through to the next day. I'm not going to say he couldn't be doing more. I think he probably is clean cut enough and established enough. He probably could be doing something more. I don't know. But my point being is that could be his success story. And I don't want the listeners to think that you have to be the CEO of, a massive corporation. You could be. I started my professional career in customer service at a really well-known brand, and I worked my way up, and that's what paved my career. Thank you. And that's what paved my career to where I'm at today. So,
yeah,
I guess
but,
the point being,
to your point, Bug, though, is like, yeah, that's his success story, but that's not comparing to anyone else, right? What we were saying in the beginning.
But it could be like he could have came from. His parents could have left him on a street corner, and he, like, I don't know. Like, here's the thing: is I never know everybody's backstory. If I see someone sweeping floors, yeah, they could have been doing better. they could have fucked that life up for themselves. They could have gotten to drugs and alcohol and been in and out of rehab and like prison or whatever. They could have fucked their life up 20 different ways.
Hold up,
Yeah.
I want to clarify this. It wasn't the fact that he was sweeping floors that we're sympathetic about, because me and Brad went through this same experience at the same time. It was his attitude.
And
about it.
that's what I said. That's what I said at the beginning.
Yeah.
It sounds like he had an
It's
attitude.
his attitude. Yeah,
and
he had a
then-
bad attitude, and he didn't want to be at
So-
work. But to me,
It was
though,
nothing wrong with sweeping floors. I mean,
No.
And
that's
so
where you're
so
at,
I'll
but-
end this and I'll pass it to you, Brad, or whoever.
okay, yeah,
My whole thing is, I don't care if you're doing the most basic job in the entire world, whatever that is, or you're leading a multi-million-dollar or billion-dollar corporation. You could or could not be successful at that point. You could be leading the CEO. You could be the CEO of a multi-billion-dollar corporation and still not feel successful because of whatever factors in your life. You could also be
Yes.
leading a $10 or $15 an hour job and feel higher than life. It all comes down to a lot of subjective factors and what you deem success, but also who you build yourself around in order to make you feel that feeling of I'm going in the right direction. You might not be there yet today, you might not be there tomorrow, but when you get there, you will feel it. But it doesn't matter that it happens today or tomorrow. It matters that you're on that process to get there, and also understand that there are steps to success. Graduating high school may not be a big deal for you, but for the next person over, they might be the first person graduating high school, and that's a massive success.
yes.
So if you look at it in the ways that you're not going to compare yourself to other people, compare yourself to you and your goals and your drive and your motivation, build a community around yourself to help you get to those goals and those end lines, and you're going to be okay. But understand, like we talked about with Brad, there are going to be failures along the way. And I say failures, sorry, downfalls or setbacks where you get injured in hurdles.
Yeah.
Thank you. Like it's not going to be a fucking, you can do all those things and you're going to still fall short. But because the people around you are going to help build you back up, you're going to have the motivation and the drive and the will to get to that next step and get back to where you were, like Brad did with his football story. He was on the top of the top as a sophomore playing on varsity. He got hurt. He went to JV. He sat for a few weeks. Then he built himself back up and he ended up playing college football. Like success is a fucking messed up thing because you can view it so many
Well,
ways.
Your success and your happiness kind of tie together. So don't set yourself up for failure, because then you're going to set yourself up for depression.
Yes, that's a big key one too. And I also want to clarify a little bit, Bug, that's why when I look at this guy, I don't look at him like, I don't know.
That's
But
why I
you're
went
thinking
back
like,
to my whole
were you thinking
thing.
like downfall, whatever? Like, hey, this guy's sweeping
No, I
floors.
went through the whole thing. I tried to go through
That's
the
why
whole
I
thing.
said hurdle.
Yeah.
I went through
Right.
the whole thing.
I was just saying, like, I don't look down upon him. I just use him as motivation. Like, I don't care. That's not what I want to do. That's not my success story.
Yeah,
I
exactly.
am past that, and where I'm at. To me, that would be going down, right? So whether he was below that and he went up, awesome, right? But that's not where I'm at in my life. That's why it's a me versus me in my life. And so where I'm up here, I'm like, no, I'm not going to go down there. I'm not going to go down that path. I'm not going to fail. And if I do fail, which everybody fails, by the way, let's scratch that. I'm going to fail, but I'm not going to fail and not get back up. I'm not going to let myself go down into a hole where I'm at that point. I'm going to get back up every time I fail, and I'm going to get where I want to go, and I want to succeed, and I want to do certain things in my life. So I'm going to bust ass, and I'm not going to let anything get me down or beat me up enough. Like P, you were saying earlier. Yeah, life hits hard, but I fucking hit hard too. I hit back every fucking time. And I know that about myself. And even when I get down, and even when I'm beat down and I'm like, fuck, man, like, Jesus Christ, this sucks. And, you're sad or whatever. That's one thing I love about myself. I always just come out of it and hit back fucking hard and go where I want to go, and it gives me that much more motivation. It's almost like coming out of the water. You get knocked down into the water, and it's almost like pushing off the bottom of the pool and jumping out of it. It almost gives you that momentum. At least for me, like it gives me tons of drive. Even like I'm like, fuck, I got knocked down. Okay, this sucks. Okay,
Chumbawamba.
boom.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, I get back up
I was
again.
just waiting for somebody to say that.
I got
I mean, it's a thing. I
think-
mean,
I think because I think
that's-
I don't want to come off as I misconstrued your words. So I want to let all listeners know that yeah, Brad and P talking about the guy sweeping floors, it wasn't a negative. The thing is that person may have came from something far less, but that to them is a success. You could be coming from maybe you're Elon Musk's kid, and you may feel like becoming a
this is a rabbit hole. By the
business
way.
business development
Go
manager
down
is like
one.
a failure. But you're not a failure. It doesn't matter where you come from. It cares about where your goals are, where you're coming from. Does have a factor in it, but it's where you're trying to go, what you're trying to do, and what you're trying to succeed for yourself, who you build around you, and how you overcome the individual and overall factors that maybe set you back. It allows you to get a drive within yourself to take on whatever hurdles you may, like P said, and any obstacles that may come your way, you overcome those, and you may not always meet your goals. I think that's very important to say is you may not always meet your goals, but whatever sets you back allows you to motivate yourself to find another way to get to that goal or something bigger. And
One of the big things is Brad has watched me go from what I was talking about earlier, where I made great money and felt on top of the world, full circle, Bug, to where I am now. He's witnessed every step that I went through, and there's one thing that I know that
Sure.
Brad will say about my personality and my presentation to everything around me and how I just view life is that I'm
Positive P.
always positive. I'm positive P. He's always called me that. He's always said that about me, because that's just how I am. I've been beaten down in the dumps, and he's like, "It's not you, man. You're positive P." And that's exactly how I'm like, you know what? You're right. I'm going through a slump, but doesn't mean that this defines me. But it's never to the point where anyone else will even see that I'm going through a slump, because I always have that mindset.
Yeah.
And that's
Well, that's just
kinda
because I
what
know you better than them.
Yeah, exactly.
speak for yourself.
Well, me and Bug know each other pretty well.
Yeah.
Hello.
I don't know how many vacations that you've missed in the near future, but me and P are rather frequent on our lake trips together.
Hello.
Be tattling.
Hello.
buddy.
Whistleblower, buddy.
Oh yeah, you whistleblower.
Uh,
You
well,
booked that flight in confidence.
I mean, P, that being said, I mean, and that's a pretty good point of you know yourself, though. You know when you're down. You know when you're at that point. I mean, sometimes it takes somebody pointing that out to pull you out of it. And that's where good company and good surrounding of group of friends and stuff is super key, to have around you, because they will be like, hey, man, it's not you, man. You're always positive. Either what's going on, we can chat about it, we can figure it out, or maybe you're just in a funk, maybe you just need to shake it off, whatever, right? But I do have a question for you guys. So, I know it's kind of a tougher question, but what do you guys want in life? What do you guys want out of life? Right? So, let me narrow that down a little bit.
Lord.
So,
Yeah, please.
I know, you have everyone, we all have families. We want to make families proud, happy, kids grow up good, do something in life. We want to have a little bit of money, do what we kind of want. But like, what is your like something in life? Do you know what that is? Have you not figured that out? Do you know what that is and you don't know how to achieve that? Or like, where are you guys at?
I want to be remembered. I want
For what?
for whatever I can, whether it's, you know,
Or by who?
the way by people that matter to me. My close family is the first ones that come to mind. I want my son and my daughter to be able to, let's just say, God forbid, I go here in the near future. Have I impacted them enough to make a lifelong memory that they'll pass on to their kids and then their kids to their kids? Did I make it enough of an impact other than I paid the bills?
Yes.
I paid the bills is what we focus on so much, and it consumes us, but where you can imprint yourself onto another human being, that they'll tell your story because you touch them in a way that they needed. You know, you
That
taught
didn't help your
it.
case either, buddy.
I know.
Go on.
That was a terrible. My bad. But I mean,
Yeah.
just little things like if you think about lessons that your parents, grandparents, or somebody that has impacted your life, and a memory that you have in passing conversation, something comes up, and oh yeah, this is what I remember this person for. I mean, you meant something to them.
Yeah.
And now just imagine that they're going to take that, like my sense of humor. I got it from my dad. And I didn't realize it as much until later on. And now me and my dad can just, have terrible sense of humor together. And now that he's moving away, like I notice it more. And I notice it with my son because he calls me out. And he'll say his terrible jokes, but he calls me out on my terrible jokes. It's like he just stops like, dad joke. I'm like, fucking right, dad joke. That was a good joke though. Write it down. Like put that in your little pamphlet because
Right.
that's a good joke. But I mean, if I were to go tomorrow, I know my kids would always know me for that. Having a good sense of humor and being and funny and positive,
Right.
and that's good enough for me because I just didn't disappear.
What about you
I like
guys,
that.
Timbo, Bug? You guys same
Timbo.
page? You guys kind of on the same level as that? Where you guys at?
A little bit of the same page, yeah. I do want to leave a lasting memory for loved ones or people that matter. Um, but I also I want to make sure that I live a good life and not look back on it when I'm on my deathbed. Like, damn, what did I do with my life? Did I do anything? But like, I want to say that I lived and not just skated by and kind of, I don't want to be a lazy person my entire life. Um, I don't want to be remembered for that. I don't want to be remembered as somebody that just kind of sat there and I was there, but I want to, I want people to remember me for being happy, being being a good part of their life, motivation or educational. If I can help even a random person that just remembers me for something that I taught them, even if it's something small, like an easier way to do this, or my kids remember that I helped them tie their shoes. So
Yeah.
yeah, I don't want to look back on my life when I'm old and wish that I did more.
Kobe. Nice. That's
You say
it.
Kobe?
Yeah. Kobe always says that.
Oh, okay. I thought you meant
Brett.
because he died young.
No.
Brett, I'd like Brad, before I give my answer, I'd like to hear yours. Only because we all love our family. We all want to make our family happy. And you have a growing family, one on the way. But I know that probably impacts you differently. But I want to hear your answer before I give mine. Not that it's going to impact it. By the way, it will not impact it. I have said things, but I just want to hear what you have to say because I'm pretty interested.
So, I mean, for me, like, of course, family's there. You know, wife, kid on the way, close family, close friends, stuff like that. I feel like I impact people around me quite a bit, but to be honest, I want to impact, generation or a world, the whole world, whatever. Like, I don't know. There's just something like inside of me that's always like, and you can do more, and with, I don't know, that's one of the reasons I really want to start a podcast, because you reach more people. Like I love everyone around me, and I love people, family members and stuff like that. But I love helping like the younger generation, like whether that's a football team or state or, West Coast or East Coast, whatever. Like I just want to impact so many people, as many people as I can. And if that takes more hard work or whatever, like I'm willing to do it. I really feel like that's something I need to do, and I need to reach a lot of people and get them on the same page, or get them out of situations, or get them in a certain mindset or whatever. Like, I mean, nothing against you guys or anything like that. Like, and props to you. Like that's, a lot of people don't even want to leave an impact on their family. A lot of people just don't give a fuck. They're too selfish, right? But just for me, like I don't know. I want to impact as many people as I can, and family, and I know that I will leave an impact no matter what I do with my family. I already think that's going to happen no matter what I do. So I guess my goal is just to impact everyone worldwide and leave my mark and leave everything that I can, because I can't take anything with me. I can't take any knowledge. I can't take any assets. Can't do anything. I want to leave all my knowledge that I fucking can and just leave it for everyone. I don't know if that's going to impact your answer, Bug, but.
Well, he already said it.
It wasn't. It wasn't. I actually texted you and said that you stole some of my thunder, but you made some good points here. So what I was going to say was like, and I'm not, I want to get off this reference, because I don't want it to become like my go-to with my dad, right? So my dad passed away, right?
Oh,
so we all know that.
Circle.
No, that'll happen before I'm done tonight. But I don't want that to be my staple. Like I still grieve over that. I'm still kind of figuring some shit out with that. But I understand what my dad left me, and I have some regrets with what my dad left me, because my dad was amazing. He by far sacrificed his life for my family, our family, and I want to do that too. But like Timbo said, and P said, and Brad said, like what we've all said is I still want my family to know who I was. And I did know who my dad was. But one of the things I regret is my dad was so protective of our feelings that he didn't allow his feelings to come out. And I want my family to know it's okay to have feelings, right? To let's be honest, I'm not very intimidating. I'm not super tall, super big, super like threatening. So I'm approachable. And I think my kids know that now at 6 and 4.
Yeah, my wife thinks you're really small, by the way, just by listening to you.
My wife thinks you have a great voice, but
well,
keep going.
Well, tell her to stop FaceTime me. But anyway, when it comes to
Good answer. Good answer.
You're not very big. You're not very intimidating, buddy. So watch it.
I look the same on a 2x2 screen. All right,
Oh,
give me a break.
Bug's not that small, by the way.
I'm 5'10", about 360 pounds. So it is
In
what it
your
is.
dreams, buddy.
In my dreams, I would never want to be that big at 5'10". Anyway, the point being is I'm fucking all rattled now. But my dad was not a threatening guy, but yet I viewed him as that. Like, and I wish I would have dug more into like what he had to offer, because he was a knowledgeable as fuck dude.
Yeah, Kevin Hart's
And
not
my whole
intimidating at all.
That's true. And so I'm going to take this a little bit of a turn. So yes, I want my family, my kids, my wife to remember who I was as I was. If I died tomorrow, I want them to have good things to say. And to be honest, I don't think I'm there yet. I think I have some work to do.
I mean, yeah, you can always do more, but I think if any of us went today, like our families would love us. Like, you know,
they would love me, but I do have some work to do, and I know that. But my other part of it is
always, everyone does.
And where I'm taking a turn is I'm not going to expect to impact the world. I would love to, and I hope that happens. I hope this podcast impacts people. But my goal is anybody I talk to, anybody that sees me, anybody that like has an experience with me, they walk away with a smile, right? It could have been I was at the gas station and I was getting a soda and they were getting and like I left and I was like, have a good day. And that was it. That could have been their only interaction. And they could have been the shittiest day in their entire life. But I literally, this is what consumes me, is I think about all these moments of all these times that you have with all these people that you know nothing about and you may never see ever again. And if I walk in, there's a guy, for example, at one of the gas stations by my house. He's I don't want to judge him, but he one of the nicest guys you'll ever meet. But I think he's maybe on the spectrum or has like something mentally going on. Will literally lighten my day up on the darkest of days. And I want to make him happy because he seems like he's the happiest motherfucker in the entire world. But I want to do what he does to all the people around him. All he's doing is like, here's your candy, here's your gas, here's your soda, here's your chips. But he makes me smile every fucking time I go in there. And if I could do that to the people around me, and they think about, man, I had the shittiest day today. But when I ran into that guy with the fucking backwards hat and whatever, like, 5'10", like bulging muscles, like he fucking made me happy.
It's like do him again.
Did I say that? Sorry. But that's my goal. That's my goal. When I leave this earth, whatever it is, I know my family, my friends, like my real friends and everything, they will know the general gist about me. But I want every day to have an experience with someone where I bump into them or I get a taco from them at Taco Bell and I make them smile. Like I want someone to leave each day having a little bit better day than they had before they met me.
Yeah. Well, let me just precipice.
Interject.
I don't know. You guys got it right. You know.
Yeah.
Santiago.
Let me just pose it this way, right? So it's kind of how my mind works. A little inside the mind of your boy bNasty. So
good luck.
Good luck.
Keep her tuned. So think of like one person that has impacted you. Not a family member. Whether that's it could be The Rock, Kevin Hart, it could be a neighbor, it could be a coach, could be
you too, huh?
Could be whoever, right? I know, I'm not letting you guys faze me. So it could be whoever. So picture how much of an impact or a lesson that they made on you. And I know all of you guys are thinking of probably one person who made a difference in your life and taught you a lesson and made like a big impact in your life and probably shaped a little bit who you are. Now imagine doing that for other people. And then imagine doing that for millions of people just by sharing it and hearing your voice and sharing your story or sharing, a struggle that you've been through or sharing like a downtime, a relatable subject or relatable topic or, something that they're going through and they're like, man, me too. And you helped them through that, not even knowing that. But just imagine that and then just hone that in and use that as so much motivation. And that will push you to go in and listen to like, okay, well, let's get on TikTok and like make a video or YouTube or whatever. How can I reach as many people as I can to help as many people I can and make an impact on their lives? How can I do that? And then, okay, maybe it's YouTube or maybe it's TikTok or maybe it's whatever social media or maybe it's a billboard in your town. Just imagine that and it'll give you so much drive and so much like push. And I try to hone that in all the time. And I'm telling you guys, it gives me so much motivation all the time. And I know, certain people around me ask like, hey man, how do you have so much drive and how do you always keep going? Believe me guys, I get tired too. I'm human, I'm not in the best shape, I drink and, how do I do it? That's how I do it. I think of how I can impact people and help them as best I can. And maybe that sounds corny or maybe it sounds cool or whatever you think about it. But like, that's like the true answers. Like, it's not about me. I mean, it is with my stories and my mindset or my thought process. But to me, it's like, I love coaching football because I love helping those little motherfuckers out. And I love seeing them grow and I love seeing them learn something and accomplish or get over an obstacle or score a touchdown or whatever. And like, I'm like, hey, I helped you through that. It's like a proud moment almost. Like it's one of my favorite things that
I do believe like your greater goal, I think it's going to stay with you. But I've told you this a million times. I feel like that perspective is going to shift a little when little ones here.
I know it will, and it'll shift towards him, but I don't think it's going to take away from everyone or a greater goal. And I know that because I know I will want to set an example to him, and that is a way to set an example and teach him, like, hey, it's bigger than you, man. Like, it's not,
Hold up.
And I know, man, I know we've been down this little rabbit hole, and I know things will change. And I know we'll put him first. I already know that, right? I already know that. But at the end of the day, he's not the only focus, though. He goes to sleep. He's not my 100% focus. Like, I'm not going to. I mean, I have a dad too, and he goes and coaches football. Mm-hmm. I mean, I'm not his number one focus. I know that for a fact.
You're also what age? And you've went through that same thing throughout your childhood. I'm just saying, give your individual attention to number one. Number one.
That's me.
Number one is going to be your son pretty soon.
It might be, but it has to be me. And then it has to be him. And then I'm not saying that, it's not going to shift towards him. It will. But I'm just saying, like, it will. But listen, guys, I know me. I've been with me for 32 goddamn years. Like, I don't have a kid yet. I understand that, right? And I know things will shift. And I know different people come into your lives and they make impacts, right? But, like, for me, I know, like, I'm going to do my best effort and everything I can to make sure that kid is prepared for the world he's going to grow up in and to succeed. I'm going to try to give him all the tools, everything I can. But I also can't coddle him, and I also can't do everything for him. He's got to learn the hard way. He's got to learn different things. But also, I'm telling you guys, I already know this about me. Like, that hunger and everything in me is not going to go away, and it's not going to go all to the kid. I'm not going to just help him. If he's on a team, I'm going to help the whole team. I'm not going to be like, hey, this just you, big dog. Like, I just do what I do. And I just know deep down it's not going to change. Like, it's going to change, but it's not going to change my view on, like, wanting to impact the world. I already know that. Like, it's just something like deep down on me.
I'm going to counter that. I'm going to counter it with, we're going down a rabbit hole that's completely off topic. So if he comes to you and encounters you with everything that you're saying and that you think, and you've had this mindset of premeditating how you're going to raise your kid and how you have it set, and he counters you with like, no, that's not at all what I want to do. Then what? Like, everything that you've planned and that your mindset is on, and he tells you, hell no. If you do that, you're a piece of shit, and I don't want to do that. What do you do? What do you do to adjust with that? Do you stick because of your philosophies on how you want to parent him and what helped you? Or
well,
do you
Let-
with that?
I don't think. Well, I mean, that's going down a different path on how I'm going to
That's what I'm
impact
saying.
like the world. I mean, that's just a personal relationship with like me to him, right? So it's not me impacting. It's not going to change my love for coaching kids football or wanting to impact people's lives, right?
All right,
Can I
Bug, real quick.
let me play devil's advocate here? So I always find a way to see Brad and P, both of your sides. So I am truly playing devil's advocate, and I love this. I actually love this part about this podcast because I love playing this role. So when I look at Brad's point of view, and I take this down the road of relationships, and if you want to get full on, let's go back to before any of us met our wives, current wives, right? If you want to fully give yourself to that person, you have to love yourself.
Yes.
You have to be happier with yourself.
Sure.
You have to have goals for yourself.
Yep.
So that you can continue to move forward even without that person, right? So then when you're happy with yourself and you love yourself, you can give yourself to that person, right?
Yeah, you can't rely
And then
on your
they
spouse for
and
happiness. Yes.
and they get the full you. They get the full you. You accept yourself and you give yourself to them. The same thing goes with kids. If I'm trying to cheat myself, I'm cheating my kids. If I'm not giving my full self to my kids, they don't know where they're growing up. They don't know what they're learning. They might be learning the wrong things. So to me, it's another extension. It's not quite the same. Don't get me wrong. It's not quite the same. But when you then try to give your full self to your kids, that's when they're the greatest them. Because they're getting the right you and the right upbringing. I say right, but you could be flawed still yourself. So take that for a grain of salt. But when you feel like you're the best you and you give that to your wife or spouse, whoever that is, and your kids and the people around you, that's the best you that you're giving to those around you. So you have to focus on yourself first, because if you're not the best you can't be the best you for other people.
True.
So that's where, Brad, I see where you're coming from, where, yeah, I got to focus on myself, because I'm not focused on myself. I'm not giving my best self to my wife, my kids, my friends, my family, whatever. But P, I totally get where you have to make sacrifices. You still have to make sacrifices because you may want to go drink with the boys on Tuesday night, but you can't because you got to go to a dance recital on Tuesday night. You might want to go to this football game on Saturday or Sunday, college or pro, whatever. But your kid is playing in a baseball game or whatever. Like, you want to be your best self, but you can only be your best self with others when you accept who you are and know who you are. But you also still have to make sacrifices. So I think that's where like the middle ground comes between your two's like kind of perspective is it's okay to be selfish, but it's also okay to understand when you need to sacrifice.
The best you at the, like, let's say 5 years ago, I was trying to instill the best me on my kids and just sticking with that lesson. Like, I would look at myself 5 years ago and be like, that is not the best you. What the hell are you doing? Knock it off. Don't mold this into your kids. And why are you sticking this because you felt like that's the best you? Don't make that them. Like, listen to them and let them kind of figure it out and let them, kind of grow you. Because
Right.
kids have the natural ability to just let you know how they feel, and they'll give it to you raw, and they'll tell you exactly how they feel, and that's with no outside influence, anything. They'll tell you exactly how they feel, and it's up to you to apply your sensibilities and your upbringing, everything that you've collected throughout your whole life, to apply what they just told you to how you feel. And that's filtered. That's through what you've gone through. What they're telling you is unfiltered. It is just natural, and I think you need to learn from that rather than being like, nope, this is what it is. Here's what it is. And that's one thing I've learned, because early on, that was my approach. And I mean, I have great kids, and I have very respectful kids. And a lot of it did come from the early lessons. But at the same time, a lot of the later lessons I've learned from them. Like, I have changed the way I am because of them. And I don't think that's a bad thing. I don't think I have to have it all figured out. Sometimes it takes a kid to open your eyes. Sometimes it takes them to mindlessly say something that can allow you to learn.
Give you a simple approach to things, right?
Yeah,
Like-
I mean, a very natural approach, like unfiltered, and just, hey, this is how I feel. And there's no like hidden agenda behind it, or no something that influenced the way that you think to cause you to think that. Like, that's just raw perspective. And raw perspective from a kid is just like, fuck. Like, that's how you think. Maybe I should think that way. And I'm going to think that way too. I mean, don't get me wrong. Kids are also maniacal. They'll pick up on tendencies, but a lot of the tendencies are tendencies and habits and stuff that they see. So where are they seeing them from? Around the house, you, your wife, like, they'll pick up on little things.
I never thought we would use maniacal in a podcast, but I appreciate that vocabulary.
No, but-
So
It is
that's
maniacal, though.
that's a mic drop moment, by the way. So kudos to you, P.
Thanks, man.
Dude, that's where I think it kind of leads us to, like any topic. And I don't want to, if anybody has anything else to say, like, let me know. But like any topic, I think that we are four extremely similar dudes, but four
looking.
extremely, I mean, I was going to say it, but it is what it is. But also four very different dudes. And I think that's what makes this podcast like fucking beautiful and fun to listen to. And that's why I want anybody listening to comment on topics you want to hear about, because we are very different. We are very similar. We're gonna argue. We don't have all. I'm looking at my screen. None of us have any problem arguing with each other, disagreeing. Maybe it gets a little weird sometimes, but we all come together and understand that we're all buddies. the weird thing is we all started off gaming together, and none of us other than P and B have met. Okay, so 50% of us have met and lived real life, so that's a lot. But at the same time,
It's half.
in the grand scheme of things, like we all came together for the most part in gaming, and here we are making a podcast where we're hoping to make a difference, hoping to make things clearer, and hopefully not cloudier in your judgment. But
Yeah.
that's where we want comments. So like we're putting TikToks. Go
Also,
ahead.
like, know that we do disagree, but
Oh, 100%.
we're not trying to cancel each other or delete each other's contacts or anything extreme. Like, we're having conversations. Like, if we disagree, we can talk about it. That's one of my favorite things about this podcast is we can disagree about things, but also talk about it or work through it or like have different points of views and not be like, get on Twitter and be like, oh, fucking Timbo's a fucking scumbag because he thinks different than me. You know?
Can't believe you said
And-
that. Bro.
And if
I know.
I will say this to kind of wrap this up, like if you made it this far on the podcast, we appreciate you. First of all,
Yes.
you guys, this is huge for us. We want to make a difference. But if you made it this far and you heard what we all just said, then seriously, drop us a comment on our TikToks. Drop us a comment on our podcast.
Twitter,
Email us on untamedentertainment1@gmail.com. Like, we want to know what you guys want to hear, what you want us to debate. And we might not have an expertise, but one of our goals, or at least one of my goals, not to speak for the whole crew, I want to go live one time on Twitch with all four of us, where we're starting with a topic that you guys come up with, and you guys are commenting and giving us feedback. Or if we run dry on a topic, you give us another avenue to go with. Like, I want to eventually make this a live thing from time to time, not every time, but because we want to be impactful as much as we can with the community. So,
yeah,
Brad,
or even like if you have something that's really bugging you out there, or you're struggling with in life, and we haven't covered it yet, drop that in a email or Twitter or whatever the case, and we will talk about it. We will discuss it, and hopefully one of our four opinions will align or resonate with you, and it will help you through your time.
Oh, we'll argue. That's for damn sure.
and
So
we're
that's
okay
a
with
point.
that. We're okay with that. Like,
Conversation is a lost art where it can be, we can argue and have different opinions and get along.
yeah,
So
yeah,
last
we'll always be brothers here.
cancel
even if we haven't
culture is
met.
the worst, by the way. Fuck yourself.
Yeah.
Cancel people.
I hate to carry this crew, but but it is what it is. So
They needed to hear it. All right.
Being the
shit. No, but no, for real. We all have we're still young, and I say this, like, I know we make fun of how old I am, but I think Timbo's older. I'm not gonna
That's
lie.
right. I know. I'm
There we
just
go.
dying inside here. Like, God
Yeah,
dang.
Yeah,
but
he's got
we're
a
all about
wise
the same
goatee
age.
now, dude.
We're all
That's
about
right.
the same age,
Trying to
and
play that older role.
I want
Yeah.
everybody to know we're still learning too. Like, we've been through a lot, but we're still learning. So that doesn't mean we can't learn from you guys. So the more you comment, the more you reach out to us, the better that this podcast is going to be. So we love y'all. And if nobody else has anything else to say, I say we cheers it up
Cheers, boys.
for what you
Good.
got.
Good
And we
arguing.
say,
Glass.
until next time, Untamed Entertainment, boys. Here we go.